Captain Elena Vasquez stared out of the shuttle window as they approached the massive space station. The structure was bigger than any city on Earth, its silver towers reaching out like the arms of a giant spider. This was Concordia, home to the Galactic Council, and today would change human history forever. Elena had dreamed of this moment since she was a child. First contact with alien life. The chance for humanity to join a community of spacefaring civilizations. After decades of watching Earth from afar, the aliens had finally decided to meet with humans. "Captain, we're being scanned," reported Lieutenant James Park from the pilot's seat. "Their technology is way beyond ours," Elena nodded. She had expected this. The 12 species that made up the Galactic Council had been traveling between stars for thousands of years. Humans had only managed to build their first faster-than-light ship 5 years ago. The shuttle docked with a soft thud. Elena checked her uniform one last time and picked up the datapad containing humanity's presentation. Everything humans had achieved was on that device. Their fusion power plants that gave clean energy to the whole planet. Their quantum computers that could solve problems in seconds. Their medical advances that had eliminated most diseases. Most importantly, their united world government that had ended the climate wars and brought peace to Earth. The airlock opened with a hiss. Elena stepped through, followed by her team of diplomats and scientists. The corridor beyond was unlike anything she had ever seen. The walls seemed to pulse with soft light and the air tasted slightly metallic. A figure waited for them at the end of the corridor. Elena tried not to stare, but it was impossible. The being looked like a giant spider made of crystal and metal. Its 8 legs clicked against the floor as it moved, and its multiple eyes focused on the human delegation. "I am Coordinator HFY of the Zeltharian hierarchy," the creature said. Its voice came from a device around what Elena assumed was its neck. "You are the representatives of the species called human?" "Yes," Elena replied, trying to keep her voice steady. "I am Captain Elena Vasquez of the United Earth Government. We are honored to meet you." HFY's eyes blinked in sequence. "Follow me. The council awaits." They walked through corridors filled with beings from different worlds. Elena saw creatures that looked like walking trees, others that seemed to be made of living metal, and some that appeared to be balls of gas held together by force fields. The diversity was amazing and terrifying at the same time. The council chamber was a huge dome with 12 platforms arranged in a circle. Each platform held representatives from a different species. In the center was a smaller platform for those who came to speak to the council. "Humans of Earth," HFY announced as Elena and her team took their positions. "You have requested to join our community. Present your case." Elena activated her datapad. Holographic images appeared in the air above her, showing Earth's greatest achievements. She spoke about human history, their struggles and victories. She showed them the cities rebuilt after the climate wars, the colonies on Mars and the Moon, the fusion reactors that powered their world. "We have much to offer," Elena concluded. "Our scientists work with passion to understand the universe. Our artists create beauty that speaks to the soul. Our people have learned to work together despite their differences. We ask only for the chance to learn from you and share what we have discovered." The chamber fell silent. Elena waited, her heart pounding. Then Coordinator HFY spoke. "The Council has reviewed your species extensively. We have watched your world for 47 of your years. We have studied your history, your culture, your nature." Elena felt hope rise in her chest. They had been watching humanity for almost 50 years. They must have seen how much humans had grown and changed. "The decision is unanimous," HFY continued. "Humanity is denied membership in the Galactic Council." The words hit Elena like a physical blow. Around the chamber, she could see her team's shocked faces reflected in her own. Furthermore, HFY's metallic voice continued, "Humanity is deemed incompatible with galactic civilization. You are too aggressive, too unpredictable. Your species wages war against itself. This violence is unacceptable." A new voice spoke from across the chamber. Elena turned to see a massive reptilian creature with golden scales and fierce red eyes. This was War Master Tekval of the Hegemony of Keth, one of the Council's military powers. "The Zeltharians speak truth," Tekval rumbled. "Humans are chaotic warriors who lack proper order. They fight without honor, using tricks and deception. They cannot be trusted to maintain galactic peace," Elena found her voice. "But we've learned from our mistakes. We've united our world. We've ended the wars that once divided us. Your unity is recent and fragile. another council member replied. This one looked like a floating jellyfish made of light. You achieved it only through suffering and destruction. This pattern will repeat. Sci-Fi raised one crystal leg for silence. The council issues the Terran exclusion decree. Humanity is forbidden from expanding beyond your solar system. You may not establish colonies on other worlds. You may not contact any species under council protection. Violation of this decree will result in containment measures. Elena knew what that meant. The council would destroy any human ship that left the solar system. They would bomb any colony humans tried to build. Earth would become a prison. This is not justice, Elena said, her voice growing stronger. You judge us for our past while ignoring our growth. You fear what we might become instead of seeing what we are. What you are, Sci-Fi replied coldly, is a threat. Your species' tendency toward violence and chaos could destabilize the peace we have maintained for 3,000 years. Elena looked around the chamber at the 12 species of the council. Some seemed sad about the decision. Others appeared satisfied. All of them seemed afraid of humanity. We came here in peace, Elena said. We offered friendship and cooperation. You respond with imprisonment and threats. Perhaps the real question is not whether humanity deserves to join galactic civilization, but whether galactic civilization deserves humanity. The chamber erupted in angry sounds from various species. Sci-Fi's eyes flashed brighter. Your arrogance proves our point, the coordinator said. Guards, escort the humans back to their ship. As alien security forces approached, Elena gathered her team. They walked back through the corridors in silence, past the staring eyes of dozens of species. The same beings who had seemed wonderful and diverse now felt cold and hostile. At the airlock, Elena turned back to look at Coordinator Sci-Fi one last time. You think you know humanity? She said. You think you can contain us, control us, make us stay in our corner of space like children in timeout. But you're wrong about us. We don't give up. We don't stay down when we're knocked down, and we don't forget. Sci-Fi's multiple eyes focused on her. Is that a threat, human? Elena smiled, but there was no warmth in it. It's a promise. You'll regret underestimating us. The airlock sealed behind them. As the shuttle pulled away from Concordia Station, Elena watched the massive structure shrink in the distance. Her dreams of joining galactic civilization were dead, but something else was being born in their place. The aliens thought they could cage humanity. They were about to learn how wrong they were. 10 years had passed since the Galactic Council slammed the door in humanity's face. Earth had not been idle during those years. In secret facilities hidden beneath mountains and ocean floors, human scientists worked day and night on a single goal, breaking free from their cosmic prison. Dr. Sarah Chen stood in the underground laboratory beneath the Swiss Alps, staring at holographic star maps that covered the entire room. She had spent the last decade studying every piece of information the Council had left behind during first contact. Most humans saw that data as a cruel reminder of what they could never have. Sarah saw it as a treasure map. Found another one, she called out to her team. Her finger pointed to a small red dot on the map. System designation XK739. 3 planets, 1 in the habitable zone. The Council marked it as unsuitable for colonization due to severe weather patterns. Her assistant, Dr. Kim Martinez, looked up from her console. That makes 47 systems the Council considers worthless. All of them beyond their territory, all of them marked as too dangerous or too difficult to bother with. Sarah smiled. The Council's arrogance was humanity's opportunity. These aliens had lived in comfort for so long that they had forgotten how to struggle. They avoided any world that required effort to tame. Humans had spent their entire history turning hostile environments into homes. A chime announced a visitor. Admiral Marcus Torres entered the lab, his uniform bearing the insignia of the Human Colonial Initiative. Marcus had been Elena Vasquez's second-in-command during first contact. Now he led the secret project to break humanity free from its cage. Sarah, please tell me you have good news, Marcus said. The shipyards are ready. We have 12 colony ships built and waiting. The crews are trained and eager to leave. We just need somewhere to go. Sarah gestured to the star map. I have somewhere better than one destination. I have 47 of them. She touched a control and the map zoomed in on a region of space far from Council territory. This is what they call the Outer Reach. The Council thinks it's worthless because the stars are unstable and cosmic storms are common. They also think the planets are too harsh for civilized life. Marcus studied the data. Unstable stars and cosmic storms. That doesn't sound very welcoming. To them, maybe, Sarah replied. But look at the mineral surveys. These worlds are rich in rare elements. The cosmic storms that scare the Council could power our cities for centuries if we learn to harness them. And the harsh conditions? Humans have been adapting to harsh conditions since we lived in caves. Dr. Martinez pulled up more data. I've been analyzing Council biology from the first contact records. Most of their species evolved on stable worlds with mild climates. They've never had to deal with real hardship. But humans? We evolved during ice ages, survived supervolcano eruptions, and lived through climate change. We're practically designed for hostile environments. Marcus nodded slowly. What about navigation? The Council controls all the major space lanes. That's the beautiful part, Sarah said. We don't need their space lanes. I've been working with the team that reverse-engineered their faster-than-light drive. We've improved it. Our ships can go places Council vessels can't reach. She brought up technical specifications. The Council uses stable jump points between systems. It's safe and efficient, but it limits where they can go. Our new drives can jump anywhere. We can reach the outer reach by going around Council space entirely. Marcus examined the data for several minutes. Finally, he looked up. When can we launch? The first ship can leave next week, Sarah replied. I recommend we start with XK-739. It's far enough away that the Council won't detect us, but close enough that we can maintain communication with Earth. Admiral Torres activated his communicator. This is Torres. Begin final preparations for Operation Exodus. We launch in 7 days. 1 week later, the colony ship New Geneva lifted off from a hidden spaceport in the Australian outback. On board were 10,000 volunteers. Scientists, engineers, farmers, soldiers, and their families. They knew they might never see Earth again. They went anyway. Captain Lisa Wong stood on the bridge as Earth fell away behind them. She had been born in the ruins of old Singapore, rebuilt after the climate wars. Her parents had told her stories of the old world, the world before humans learned to work together. She would not let her children grow up in a cage. The journey to XK-739 took 3 weeks. When they emerged from faster-than-light travel, they found a system that looked like something from a nightmare. The star burned orange and red, flaring unpredictably. 2 of the 3 planets were balls of toxic gas. The third was a desert world covered in massive dust storms. Sensors show mineral deposits throughout the planet, reported the science officer. Iron, copper, rare earth elements, and something we've never seen before. The computer can't identify it, Captain Wong smiled. Unknown elements mean unknown possibilities. Take us down. The first months on the world they named New Geneva were brutal. The dust storms lasted for weeks. The temperature swung from freezing at night to boiling during the day. The air was thin and filled with particles that clogged their equipment, but humans adapted. They built underground cities that stayed cool during the day and warm at night. They developed filters that turned the dust storms into a source of rare minerals. They discovered that the unknown element, which they called Genesis, could store massive amounts of energy. Within 6 months, New Geneva was not just surviving, but thriving. The colony was producing more energy than Earth's biggest fusion plants. Their underground cities were growing into a vast network of tunnels and chambers. Back on Earth, Sarah Chen was already preparing the next wave of colonists. But she was also working on something more important, finding allies. Deep in the Council's database, she had discovered records of other species that had been rejected or ignored. The architects were silicon-based beings who thought too slowly for Council politics. The chorus were energy creatures that most Council species found impossible to understand. The Verdani were peaceful plant-like beings who refused to join the Council's military alliances. Sarah sent secret messages to all of them. To the architects, she offered partnership in building something greater than either species could achieve alone. To the chorus, she promised friendship without judgment. To the Verdani, she guaranteed protection without requiring them to fight. The first to respond were the architects. Their message took 3 months to compose as they considered every word carefully. But when it came, it changed everything. Humans show promise, the message read. We observe your adaptation to hostile environment. We offer knowledge exchange. We teach crystalline technology. You teach rapid adaptation. Together we build something new. Dr. Martinez was excited. Captain, the architects have technology that could revolutionize our colonies. Their crystal growing techniques could give us buildings that repair themselves. Their computational matrices could make our computers 1,000 times more powerful. The Verdani responded next. Their ship arrived at the edge of the solar system, carrying seeds and genetic templates from 1,000 worlds. They had been watching the galaxy for millennia, collecting and preserving life wherever they found it. "We have waited long for people who value life above conquest," their leader communicated through bioelectrical patterns. "We offer the gift of life itself. Your harsh worlds can bloom with careful tending." The chorus took longest to make contact, but when they did, they brought the most valuable gift of all: information. As energy beings, they could travel through space without ships. They had observed the Council for centuries, watching and listening. "Council fears change," they sang in harmonies that made human computers translate their meaning. "Council grows weak through comfort. Council cannot see past its own light. You burn brighter. You will outshine them." Admiral Torres read the reports from all three first contacts. "Sarah, we're not just escaping anymore. We're building something new." Sarah nodded. "The Council rejected us because we were different. Now we're going to show them what different can achieve. We're not just founding colonies anymore, Marcus. We're founding an empire." On New Geneva, Captain Wong received the news about their new allies with excitement. Her people had proven they could survive anywhere. Now they would prove they could thrive everywhere. The second colony ship, New Athens, was already on its way to another supposedly worthless world. Then would come New Tokyo, New Cairo, and dozens more. Each colony would push further into the outer reach. Each would prove that humanity's greatest weakness, according to the Council, was actually their greatest strength. Humans didn't avoid challenges. They conquered them. 25 years after the Council's rejection, General Sarah Chen Torres stood on the command deck of Aegis Prime, the fortress world that guarded the heart of the human colonial empire. Through the massive transparent aluminum windows, she could see the orbital shipyards where humanity's newest vessels took shape. Sarah had married Admiral Marcus Torres 15 years ago, and together, they had built something the Galactic Council never imagined possible. What started as a desperate escape from Earth's cosmic prison had become an empire spanning 47 star systems. "General." "The morning reports," said Colonel James Park, the same man who had piloted the shuttle to that first fateful meeting with the Council. Now he served as Sarah's chief intelligence officer. Sarah reviewed the data on her tablet. New colonies were being established every month. The mining operations on Thule were producing rare metals at rates that would make Council worlds jealous. The agricultural domes on Verdant were feeding millions. The research stations scattered throughout the outer reach were making discoveries that pushed the boundaries of known science. "What's the status on the Prometheus initiative?" Sarah asked. Colonel Park smiled. "Dr. Martinez reports another breakthrough. The architect-designed quantum computers are now fully integrated with Verdani bioneural networks. The processing power is beyond anything we imagined possible. The Prometheus initiative was humanity's greatest achievement. It combined human creativity with architect logic and Verdani intuition. The result was technology that seemed almost magical. Ships that could repair themselves using living metal, computers that could predict enemy movements by understanding their emotional patterns, weapons that adapted to any defense. And the Nova Drive prototype?" Sarah continued. "Final testing begins next week. If Dr. Kim's calculations are correct, our ships will be able to cross the galaxy in days instead of months." Sarah nodded. The Nova Drive was humanity's answer to the Council's transportation networks. While the Council relied on ancient jump gates built by long-dead civilizations, humans had created something entirely new. The drive used controlled micro-black holes to fold space itself. It was dangerous, unpredictable, and absolutely revolutionary. A communication alert chimed. The holographic display showed the face of Captain Elena Vasquez, now Admiral of the Colonial Fleet. Elena commanded from the mobile capital ship Defiance, traveling constantly between the growing colonies. "Sarah, we have a situation," Elena said. "Long-range sensors have detected Council ships near the neutral zone. 3 vessels, Zeltharian design, heading toward our territory." Sarah frowned. The Council had maintained its policy of ignoring humanity for 25 years. Officially, humans didn't exist as far as they were concerned, but unofficially, Sarah knew they were growing nervous. "Are they scouts or a patrol?" Sarah asked, unknown. "But they're getting close to the Kepler 442 system. If they enter our space, we'll have to respond." Sarah thought quickly. Kepler 442 was the site of the original Council station, where humanity had been rejected. Now it hosted New Geneva's sister colony, Liberty Station. The symbolism would not be lost on either side. Elena, I want you to take a small fleet to intercept them, not to attack but to make contact. It's time the Council learned what we've become. 3 days later, Admiral Elena Vasquez faced the Council patrol from the bridge of her flagship. The human fleet consisted of 5 ships, small compared to the massive Council vessels, but built with technology the aliens had never seen. The Council ships were things of beauty in their own way. Smooth, elegant curves that spoke of thousands of years of refined engineering, but they were also old designs, unchanged for centuries because the Council saw no need to improve perfection. Human ships looked different. Angular and aggressive, covered in sensor arrays and weapon ports that could rotate to face any direction. They looked like what they were, tools built by a species that expected trouble and prepared for it. Council vessels, Elena broadcast on standard frequencies. This is Admiral Elena Vasquez of the Human Colonial Empire. You are approaching the sovereign territory of humanity. Please state your intentions. The response came from the lead Council ship. This is Coordinator Vexmar of the Zeltharian hierarchy. Humanity has no sovereign territory. You are in violation of the Terran Exclusion Decree. Return to your home system immediately. Elena smiled grimly. Coordinator, the Terran Exclusion Decree was issued against a small, weak species confined to one star system. That species no longer exists. We are the Human Colonial Empire, and we claim the right to exist wherever we can thrive. Impossible, came the reply. Our intelligence reports show humans have made no significant advances. You remain a primitive species playing with stolen technology. Your intelligence is 25 years out of date, Elena replied. Allow me to update it. She gave a signal, and the human ships performed a demonstration that left the Council patrol speechless. The vessels split apart into component sections, then recombined in different configurations. What had been 5 frigates became 3 cruisers. The transformation took less than 30 seconds. Our ships are grown, not built, Elena explained. Living metal guided by bioneural networks. They adapt to any situation, repair themselves, and improve with experience. This is just one example of what we've achieved. There was a long silence from the Council ships. Finally, Coordinator Vexmar responded. Even if your technology has advanced, you remain a violent, chaotic species. You cannot be trusted with such power. Elena's voice turned cold. We've been peaceful for 25 years. We've colonized uninhabited worlds. We've formed alliances with species you ignored or rejected. We've threatened no one. If there's chaos in this galaxy, it comes from a council that maintains order through fear and exclusion. You will return to your home system, Vexmar repeated. This is your final warning. No, Elena replied simply. We will not. The Council coordinator's voice rose in anger. Then you force us to implement containment measures. Surrender now or be destroyed. Elena activated her ship's weapon systems. The human fleet responded instantly, their adaptive armor beginning to glow as defensive fields activated. Coordinator, I served as a diplomat for 10 years before I became a soldier. I know the difference between a scientific expedition and a military force. Your ships carry sensors, not weapons. You came here to study us, not fight us. And now you know why. She was right. The Council ships were pure exploration vessels, designed for reconnaissance in supposedly empty space. They had no idea they would encounter an actual human fleet. This incident will be reported to the full Council, Vexmar said, his voice shaking with anger or fear. You have not heard the last of this. I hope not, Elena replied. It's time for a real conversation between our peoples. But next time, come in friendship, not with threats. The Council ships withdrew, but Elena knew this was only the beginning. She sent an immediate report to Sarah and began preparing for what would inevitably come next. On Aegis Prime, General Chen Torres read Elena's report with mixed feelings. Contact with the Council had been inevitable, but she had hoped for more time to prepare. Colonel Park, initiate Defense Protocol 7. I want every colony ship armed and ready. Contact our allies. The architects Verdani and Chorus need to know what's happening. Yes, General. What about the Keth? Sarah paused. The hegemony of Keth was the Council's primary military force. War Master Thekval, who had spoken against humanity 25 years ago, now commanded even greater power. If the Council decided to use force, the Keth would lead the attack. Monitor their military movements. If they start mobilizing battle fleets, we'll know the Council has made its decision. 3 weeks later, the answer came. Long-range sensors detected massive Keth war fleets moving toward the outer reach. The Council had decided that humanity's continued existence was a threat that required elimination. But they had waited too long. The species they remembered as primitive refugees had become something far more dangerous. Humanity had spent 25 years preparing for this moment. Aided by allies the Council had ignored and using technology the Council didn't understand. The war they thought would be a simple extermination was about to become their greatest nightmare. They would learn too late that humans were not the same species they had rejected decades ago. Sarah stood before the holographic displays showing every human world, every allied species, every ship in their combined fleets. Tomorrow the real test would begin. The Council was about to discover what humanity could accomplish when pushed to the edge. All ships, all colonies, all allies. She broadcast across the Empire. This is General Chen Torres. The Council comes to destroy us. They think we are still the weak, divided species they rejected. Let's show them how wrong they are. The response came from 47 worlds and dozens of allied fleets. Humans, architects, Verdani, Chorus, and others who had found hope in the empire humanity built. We stand ready, came the unified reply. For humanity, for freedom, for the right to exist. The war for the galaxy's future was about to begin. The attack came without warning. Warmaster Thekval of the hegemony of Keth led his battle fleet into the new Sparta system like an ancient warlord riding to claim easy victory. His massive dreadnoughts emerged from faster-than-light travel in perfect formation, their weapons already charging for what he expected to be a brief and decisive battle. New Sparta was humanity's military colony, founded by volunteers from Earth's veteran families. Every colonist had military training. Every building was designed to double as a fortress. Every citizen was prepared to fight for their home. Colonel David Hassan commanded the colony's defenses from the underground command center. He watched the Keth ships on his displays and smiled grimly. Thekval had brought 20 dreadnoughts to crush one human colony. It would not be enough. All defensive platforms online, reported his second-in-command. Orbital mines are active. The civilian population has moved to the deep shelters. David nodded. Signal the Imperial fleet. Tell General Chen Torres that the Keth have chosen to start this war. We'll show them how it ends. The Keth ships moved into attack formation, their massive hulls bristling with weapons that had conquered a dozen systems for the Council. Warmaster Thekval opened a communication channel, his reptilian face filling the colony's screens. Humans of New Sparta. His voice rumbled with authority. You are in violation of galactic law. Surrender now and your deaths will be quick. Resist and we will make your suffering legendary. David Hassan's face appeared on the return channel. He was a small man compared to the massive Keth warrior, but his eyes burned with determination that made even Thekval pause. Warmaster, David said calmly, you're about to learn the difference between conquest and survival. We didn't choose this fight, but we'll finish it. Thekval's laughter boomed across the channel. One small colony against 20 dreadnoughts? Your courage is admirable but pointless. Who said anything about one colony? David replied. Space around New Sparta suddenly filled with ships. The Imperial fleet had been waiting, hidden behind the system's outer planets and asteroid fields. Admiral Elena Vasquez led them from the Bridge of Defiance, her flagship cutting through space like a blade. But these were not the ships the Council remembered. 25 years of alliance with the architects had revolutionized human ship design. The vessels that surrounded the Keth fleet were living things, their hulls shifting and adapting as they moved. Bioneural networks allowed them to react faster than any traditional ship. Verdani biotechnology gave them self-repair capabilities that bordered on magic. Keth fleet, Elena broadcast. You are surrounded and outgunned. Withdraw now and no one has to die today. Thekval stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Somehow the humans had materialized a fleet larger than his own without triggering any of his sensors. His ship's computers couldn't even get reliable readings on the human vessels. Their technology was unlike anything in Council databases. Impossible, he snarled. You cannot hide ships from Keth sensors. Elena's voice carried a note of amusement. We didn't hide them, Warmaster. We grew them from the asteroids in this system. Our ships don't just travel through space, they become part of it. It was true. Using architect crystal growing technology and Verdani biological manipulation, human engineers had learned to transform raw space debris into warships in a matter of hours. The fleet surrounding the Keth had literally been created while they approached the planet. Thekval's tactical officer leaned close to whisper urgently. The War Master's eyes widened as he studied the new data. The human ships weren't just numerous, they were completely unknown. Every weapon, every defense, every system was beyond Keth understanding. You have advanced, Thekval admitted grudgingly. But advancement without honor is meaningless. The Keth do not retreat. Then the Keth will learn, Elena replied. The battle began with the fury of a solar storm. Keth dreadnoughts unleashed weapons that could shatter moons, beams of energy that burned across space like captured stars. But the human ships danced between the attacks, their living hulls flowing like water around the devastating blasts. Human weapons were different from anything the Keth had faced. Instead of trying to overpower Keth shields with brute force, they adapted. Quantum disruption fields that learned to bypass energy barriers. Nanomissiles that evolved their attack patterns in flight. Gravity weapons that turned the enemy's own mass against them. The first Keth dreadnought fell within minutes, its shields stripped away by weapons that shouldn't have existed. The massive ship broke apart as human nanotechnology turned its own hull against it. Metal eating metal until nothing remained but floating debris. Impossible, Thekval roared. Our shields are impenetrable. Your shields are designed to stop energy and matter. Elena's voice came back. Our weapons are designed to stop existing. There's a difference. The battle raged for hours. More Keth ships fell, their crews abandoning ship as their vessels literally dissolved around them. But the humans took losses too. 3 of their ships were destroyed by lucky hits, their bio-neural networks screaming in pain before going silent. Thekval watched his fleet being systematically destroyed and felt something he had never experienced before. Respect for an enemy. These humans fought with a skill and ferocity that reminded him of the ancient Keth warriors, before the Empire became soft with easy victories. You fight well, he admitted over an open channel. Better than any council species in 1,000 years. We learned from the best teachers, Elena replied. Necessity and desperation. The end came when human boarding parties struck the Keth flagship. Instead of trying to blast through the massive ship's armor, they used architect technology to phase directly through the hull. War Master Thekval found himself facing human soldiers who moved like ghosts and fought like demons. The leader of the boarding party was General Sarah Chen Torres herself. She had insisted on leading the assault personally, despite the protests of her staff. Now she stood in the Keth ship's command center, her weapon trained on Thekval. Surrender, War Master, she said. Your fleet is destroyed. Your crew is alive but captured. End this. Thekval looked around his command deck at the human soldiers. They were smaller than Keth warriors, but they moved with perfect coordination. Their equipment was beyond anything he had imagined possible. Most importantly, they had shown mercy to his captured crews when they could have executed them. You could have killed us all, he said slowly. Why didn't you? Sarah lowered her weapon slightly. Because we're not the monsters the Council thinks we are. We fight to survive, not to exterminate. Thekval studied this small human who had defeated him so completely. In her, he saw something the Council had lost long ago. The warrior's code that valued honor above victory, strength above comfort. The Council told us you were chaotic savages, he said. They were wrong. You are warriors worthy of respect. Will you surrender? Sarah asked. Thekval considered his options. His fleet was gone. His mission had failed, but perhaps something could be salvaged from this disaster. I surrender my ships and my life, he said formally, but I ask for the right to speak with you as one warrior to another. 3 days later, Thekval sat across from Sarah in the Human Command Center on New Sparta. Between them lay the terms of an agreement that would shake the galaxy. The Council has grown soft, Thekval said, his voice heavy with disgust. They rule through fear and politics, not strength and honor. They sent me to destroy you because they were afraid of what you represent. What do we represent? Sarah asked. Change. Growth. The possibility that there is a better way than the Council's endless stagnation. Thekval leaned forward. General Chen Torres, I have served the Council for 50 years. I have conquered worlds in their name. But I have never fought beside people who combine strength with mercy, victory with honor. Sarah understood what he was asking. You want to join us? I want to serve something worthy of service, Tekval replied. The council fears you because you show them what they could have been. You offer what they never could, the chance to grow, to become more than what we are. The defection of War Master Tekval sent shockwaves through the Galactic Council. 30 Keth battle groups followed their commander, bringing their ships and crews to the human cause. Other council species began to question their loyalty to a system that sent them to destroy people who offered friendship. News of the victory at New Sparta spread across the galaxy. Species that had been rejected by the council sent messages of support to the human empire. Colonies that had chafed under council rule began to openly rebel. General Sarah Torres stood in her command center, watching reports flood in from across known space. The balance of power that had stood for 3,000 years was crumbling. We've won more than a battle, she told her staff. We've shown the galaxy that the council's way isn't the only way. Now we have to prove we can offer something better. Admiral Elena Vasquez's voice came over the communications system. Sarah, we're receiving surrender requests from 12 council colonies. They want to join the Empire, Sarah nodded. The hard part was just beginning. Winning battles was easy compared to building a civilization worth fighting for. Accept their requests, she ordered, and prepare for the council's response. They won't give up their power without a real fight. 5 years after the Battle of New Sparta, Empress Elena Vasquez stood in the observation lounge of the mobile capital ship Defiance, watching the construction of Harmony Station. The massive structure grew before her eyes, its living metal framework expanding as architect builders and human engineers worked together to create something the galaxy had never seen before. Elena had never wanted to be an empress. She had been a diplomat, then an admiral, content to serve the cause of human freedom. But after the Council's government collapsed and dozens of species petitioned to join the Terran Galactic Empire, someone had to lead. The colonies had chosen her unanimously. Your Majesty, came a familiar rumbling voice. War Master Tekval, now Lord Commander of Imperial Forces, approached with his usual mixture of respect and barely contained amusement. The massive Keth warrior still found human titles strange, but he had adapted to human customs just as humans had learned from Keth honor codes. How many times do I have to tell you to just call me Elena? She replied with a smile. At least once more, apparently, Tekval answered, his version of humor. The morning reports, Your Majesty. Elena accepted the data tablet and reviewed the information. The Empire now controlled over 200 star systems. 37 different species had joined willingly, bringing their knowledge and culture to create something unprecedented in galactic history. The architect crystal cities were being built on 12 worlds, their living structures growing stronger each year. Verdani agricultural colonies were turning barren planets into gardens that fed billions. Chorus energy beings had taught humans to harness the power of stars themselves. Even species that had once been enemies of humanity were finding new purpose within the Empire. What's the status on the Zeltharian request? Elena asked. Tekval's expression showed surprise even after all these years. Coordinator Zexhai has formally applied for membership in the Empire. The same being who issued the Terran exclusion decree now asks to serve under human leadership. Elena shook her head in wonder. The galaxy had changed so completely that sometimes she could barely recognize it. The Galactic Council, once the supreme power among the stars, had been reduced to 8 member species huddled in their crystal palaces, watching their influence fade with each passing month. And the overmind of Centauri? Arriving tomorrow, Tekval replied. The oldest and most powerful member of the original council wishes to meet with you personally. That was the meeting Elena had been dreading and anticipating in equal measure. The overmind was ancient beyond human understanding, a collective consciousness that had guided galactic civilization for millennia. If it chose to recognize the Empire, the last vestiges of council authority would crumble completely. A soft chime announced another visitor. Dr. Sarah Torres entered, her hair now gray but her eyes still bright with the curiosity that had driven humanity to the stars. As Director of Imperial Sciences, she oversaw research projects that were reshaping the galaxy's understanding of what was possible. Elena, I have news from the terraforming project, Sarah said. The first council world has been successfully converted using our technology. Elena raised an eyebrow. Which one? Kepler 442b, the original council homeworld where they rejected us 50 years ago. Sarah's smile was filled with irony. They asked us to save their dying ecosystem. Our Verdani-enhanced terraforming technology restored their atmosphere in 6 months. The work their own scientists said would take centuries. The symbolism was perfect and terrible. The world where humanity had been declared unfit for galactic civilization was now dependent on human technology for its survival. How are the former council species adapting to imperial citizenship? Elena asked. Sarah consulted her tablet. Better than expected. The democratic reforms have been especially popular. Most council species never had a voice in their own government. The idea that they can vote for their representatives regardless of species or origin is revolutionary to them. It was true. The Galactic Council had been an oligarchy where power belonged to the oldest and strongest species. The Terran Empire operated on principles that seemed radical to the galaxy. Every citizen had a vote. Every species had equal rights. Advancement was based on merit rather than birth. The medical exchange program has been our biggest success, Sarah continued. We've eliminated 12 diseases that plagued the galaxy for thousands of years. The council species just accepted them as facts of life. Humans saw them as problems to be solved. Elena nodded. That was perhaps the greatest difference between the Empire and the Council. The Council maintained order by accepting limitations. The Empire created progress by refusing to accept that anything was impossible. A communication alert interrupted their conversation. The bridge reported that the Overmind's ship had arrived ahead of schedule, a massive crystalline structure that seemed to be carved from a single piece of diamond. Your Majesty, came the voice of Captain Martinez from the bridge. The Overmind requests immediate audience. It says the matter is urgent. Elena exchanged glances with Sarah and Thekval. Very well. Send them to Conference Room 1. The Overmind of Zentauri was unlike anything Elena had encountered before. It appeared as a pillar of shifting light and crystal, constantly changing form as billions of individual minds spoke with one voice. When it communicated, the words seemed to come from everywhere at once. Empress Elena Vasquez, the Overmind said, its voice like the sound of wind through crystal caves. We have observed your empire with great interest. You have achieved in 50 years what the Council could not accomplish in 3,000. We learned from your mistakes, Elena replied diplomatically. Indeed, the Council believed that stability required stagnation. We thought that peace required controlling change. You have shown us that true stability comes from the ability to adapt, and real peace comes from justice rather than force. Thekval leaned forward. What does the Overmind seek from this meeting? The crystalline being shifted, its form becoming more solid. We seek to join your empire. The Zentauri wish to become citizens of your democracy, rather than rulers of a dying oligarchy. Elena felt the weight of history in that moment. The oldest civilization in the galaxy was asking to become part of something humans had built. Why? She asked simply. Because you offer what we have forgotten how to create. Hope. Under the Council, the galaxy was stable but static. Under your empire, it grows and changes and becomes more than it was. You have invited the rejected, elevated the oppressed, and given voice to the silent. This is what civilization should be. Elena looked at her advisors. Sarah nodded slowly. Thekval showed his approval in the Keth way, by placing his hand over his heart. The decision that would end the Galactic Council forever rested with her. The Terran Empire welcomes the Zentauri as equal citizens, Elena said formally. Your wisdom will help us build a better future for all species. The Overmind's form brightened. Then it is done. The Galactic Council hereby dissolves itself. Long live the Terran Galactic Empire. 3 months later, Elena stood once again in the observation lounge of Defiance, but now she watched the completion of Harmony Station. The massive structure was beautiful beyond description, its living architecture combining the best of dozens of species knowledge. Representatives from 200 worlds had gathered for the station's dedication. Former enemies worked side by side. Species that had never spoken to each other shared knowledge freely. The galaxy's first true democracy was about to begin its first session. Quite a view, said a familiar voice. Elena turned to see Admiral Marcus Torres, Sarah's husband and the architect of humanity's original escape from Earth. He now served as the Empire's Secretary of Colonial Affairs. Marcus, remember when we thought joining the Council was humanity's greatest dream? Elena asked. Marcus laughed. Now they're applying to join us. Funny how things work out. Through the transparent aluminum windows, Elena could see delegations from across the galaxy preparing for tomorrow's opening ceremony. Humans worked alongside architects, their crystal bodies gleaming in the station's light. Verdani tended to gardens that would help regulate the station's atmosphere. Chorus energy beings danced through specially designed chambers. Even former council species like the Zeltharians moved freely among their former subjects, now equal citizens in a government that valued contribution over origin. "Do you think we've done the right thing?" Elena asked. Marcus considered the question seriously. 50 years ago, the Council told us we were too dangerous to be trusted with galactic civilization. They were right in a way. We were dangerous. To their way of thinking, to their acceptance of limitations, to their belief that some people matter more than others. He gestured toward the bustling activity around Harmony Station. "Look what we've built together. A civilization where anyone can rise based on their talents, where problems are solved rather than endured, where difference is celebrated rather than feared. If that's dangerous to the old order, then I'm glad we were dangerous enough to change it." Elena nodded. Tomorrow, the Terran Galactic Empire would officially begin governing the largest democratic state in the galaxy's history. It would not be easy. Democracy never was, but it would be better than what came before.